Hello and welcome to my presentation on connecting the modern world with non-intrusive web services, REST APIs and JSON. My name is Wim van der Ham. I will present myself on the next slide, but first of all we are on the Poet Summit and you all seen the shirts with the start of a poet and it says roses are red, violets are blue. I finished it with chocolate is sweet, and here's one for you if you want after this presentation you have some Italian chocolate. So stay until the end. Okay, my name is Wim. Wilhelmus is my baptized name. I was born in the Netherlands and graduated informatics in The Hague in 1988. But I moved to Italy to marry my wife, Patrizia. Ciao, Patrizia. And my two daughters are the result of our marriage, Krizia, the blonde, and Antea, the dark daughters, and ciao, Patrizia and Antea. Today, this year, I'm celebrating 34 years of work in progress. And I started as a freelance in Italy, and I became a freelance external consultant for Progress in Italy. Did some nice projects with Progress in Italy. And in 2000, I founded my own small company, WITS, it's Worldwide IT Solutions. And in 2012, together with Adriano Casari from Demanet, we had Italian Pug Italia. And our mission is to supply our customers and the partners with superior Progress products and services to give them a competitive advantage. I live in Turin, and you may know there will be the HP finals in November in Turin, and next year the Eurovision Song Contest. So please come over, I will be glad to show you around. What's on the agenda? Well, first introduction. We're going to talk a little bit about JSON. Peter Judge did a very good session this morning, so I will skip over it and you can look at his session. He's much better than me, and talk about REST, and then the main topic is the httpClient and some practical implementations. I've got 3 of them ready for you, and we close with some pitfalls and things to look out for. Okay, so I will, this is the agenda explained, sorry. So first, JSON. It is text files with data in it. It follows very simple rules. It has objects. Every object starts with a curly brace, a left brace, and closes with a right brace. And it has a name, it's a string, and then value. Now, what can the values be? Values can be anything, a string, a number, another object, an array of objects, and a Boolean true, false value, or null. So you can get all kinds of combinations of that. A step back, you can also have an array, which is like a number of objects. So as you can see, an array starts with a square bracket, and it closes with a right bracket, and it has a number of elements inside. Okay, so data types. Well, there are not much data types, not many. You have a string, fully UTF-8 compatible, with also special characters, backslash for control characters. You have a number, which can start with a negative sign if it's negative, and then a number of digits. You can also have the exponential part with the E notation. The Boolean we already talked about. So we are missing some data types. There's no date data type inside JSON, but as Peter also explained this morning, you can use a string as a date, and you follow the ISO 8601 standard, which has this format for the dates and this format for date time. So you can add a time part to it. And basically any data type that's not there is stored as a string. I found many situations where even the known data types are simply stored as strings. We will see it in one call that I make. But anyway, you have to be prepared for conversion of your string to a more better data type. Progress has introduced a support in JSON. It's through write JSON method on a number of objects, in particular the temp table and temp table buffer. They work the same. See, the TV is going out. Anyway, they both work the same. If you specify a temp table buffer or a temp table handle, and you do the write JSON, it will write out all the records. And you can also use it on a data set, and the data set is multiple temp tables. There's also a possibility of just creating a JSON object. There is also a possibility to read a JSON object from a file, and all these features are very good explained in Peter Judd's session of this morning, the mirror session about using the JSON objects to read and write configuration files. So what's next? REST. REST stands for Representational State Transfer, and it is a sort of a transport protocol on HTTP or HTTPS. It implements the standard verbs for this HTTP protocol. You can do a get, which finds data and you get it back. You can do a put, so you can update existing data. You can do post, which creates new data, or maybe it's the other way around. But and delete makes it possible to delete data. And you do all these verbs, you apply these verbs to an address, a URI. So you have an address where a resource is, and then you can apply all these actions. HTTP client. So since OpenEdge 11.5, we have an official HTTP REST client, which allows HTTPS requests from the ABL, and it's inside the library, so you have to have the using openedge.net/http and a number of additional using statements to have all the specific elements. And the basic steps are you define a request on a URL, so you compose your URL, and you define the request, which is either get or post. Then you retrieve the response by doing a client builder build and the execute of that request. And what you get back is the response, and it has two status properties, status code and status reason, that will tell you if it's okay. These status codes are the standard HTTP codes. 200 is okay. 400 is not okay, and there are a number of other values in between. And after you have received and checked for the status, you can use the entity, which is like the payload that you get back from your call. Okay, so any questions so far? Let's get into some demos. Okay, Prestashop. Prestashop is a feature-rich, free open source e-commerce solution. You can use it to run your store in the cloud. It's used by one of our customers, Ormar, SMSC. He's a friend of mine. We go back very many years, and he has his store on this website, www.ormarstore.com, and there is a console in the Prestashop environment to handle all your setup, and you can upload your products and stuff like that. So the use case in this situation was where we had to update the stock quantities, because one of the biggest problems when you have an existing managed legacy application, that you know what you have in stock in your application, but the website doesn't know it. You could say that you have like 4 hair dryers available, But in the meantime, you have sold all 4 of them in your shop. And the biggest problem is if somebody wants your hairdryer and you don't happen to have it anymore. And it happened in this case. So we implemented this stock quantity update. In order to do so with Prestashop, you have to have a key. You go into a configuration page and you say, okay, just create a new key. You can also designate, give it a description. And you can specify what tables can be accessed, can be read, can be written. So you could create as many as you want if you want to give access for a specific part of your application of the data. You can define different keys. The URL that we are going to use is the /API stock available. That is the one to which we post the update. In this case, we need to have the credentials, and there is a specific object to create credentials. It's a little bit strange that the username for the credential is this key, and there is no password. So that's why I make it black. So I don't think you are interested in changing the stock quantities of this customer of mine. Anyway. In this case, the body that you have to post to this API has to be XML. And then you just prepare the request, you do the put, you execute, and you check the status code. This is in the short the steps. You create the path, you put that at the end of the URL. Then you have the credentials, you do the build of the client, you create a new request body from your XML, which is passed as a long car, and then I do a put. I use the basic authentication with the credentials that I have created before, and then you check your, you execute the call and you check your response code. Okay. So, in my, do you see the screen? No, I have to stop it. Sorry. Here we have the, no, it's coming. It's awkward, but okay. So this is our program. This is the logic of doing the call. So it's what we saw in the slide. Yeah, it's quite easy. You just set up the request, you execute it, and then you look at it. Now, in order to create the request, I have here a sample program that uses a temp table with a specific stock records. I know the IDs. Prestashop is full of IDs. Every record has ID. Every subrecord has ID, and they're all linked together. So this specific ID is for a hairdryer, and I want to set the quantity to 3. And let me see if I can get the product on the screen so we can see the current quantity. And the problem, this customer called me and he said, yeah, I had to buy a new hairdryer myself because a customer had already asked for it, and he couldn't say no after the order had been accepted. Okay. So here we are. Oh, too many screens. Okay, this is the shop. And yeah, this is the hairdryer we're looking at. It's also available in different colors, as you can see. And in the maintenance part, I can just say, just here. if I go into the maintenance of this Prestashop installation, yeah, you need to log in, obviously. And I go to the product. Sorry. And to see the stock quantities. Where am I? It's in the side of the room. There we are. Okay. Okay. Okay, there we are. Okay, so the reference number of this item is A2. See, all the products are uploaded in on the cloud, on the web, and we have a lot of items. 6. Good, and here we have the quantities. In this case, this one is not available. Okay, if we get back to the Progress editor, what I just do is I call this procedure, and for every record, I create an XML node. This is old stuff. I hope you still remember. You have to create a node and append it, and then for every item, I create another node, append it again to the parent, and create the text for every single item with the node value there. And it has a specific layout which is given by Prestashop, and then you just save that. In this case, also in the file, I want to see what's going on, and I also save it into a long char, because the long character is what I send to this procedure, set stock availables. Okay. Next. Well, maybe I will try to, I don't know if it's a good idea. Then, the next. Order sender. Order sender is a company, it's a product by a company called Cosmobile, and it's a mobile solution for your Salesforce automation. You can basically get your orders on a mobile application, and all your orders are sent into another cloud, and you are also sending your order confirmation directly to the customer. It is a good solution to have your whole assortment of products on your tablet and go and gather them at the customers. But there's a problem that when you do it, the orders are in the cloud, and you have an email with a PDF. It's all very nice, but since the backend is a Progress application, you want to have the orders inside your application. So, luckily, there is an API also for this solution, and they have a good documentation on it. Every API call is good documented. That is important if you want to build applications with the web API, that you study the various calls that you can make. In this case, I'm looking at the export of orders, and As you can see, it gives a lot of information. They have a flat export of the orders. They just give on every line all the header information and all the line information. But yeah, that's no problem. We just store it in the temp table and then get it back to our application with different levels of breakby. So yeah, a lot of information. In order to call it, you have to have a company code, and here also a business token, which is like your API key to ask for the information related to this company. You can select the output format. You can specify that in the URL. Obviously, we specify JSON, and you can do some filtering and say date from, date to, and even a filter on the supplier. As you can see here, all the response messages are clearly documented. If it's 400, request failed. If it's 403, you have no authorization. And in this way of documentation, you also have the possibility to try it out. You can do a call directly from within this documentation site. For convenience, I will try to switch to duplicate screens, if that's okay, because it's difficult to see what happens if I'm not seeing it. So I will just duplicate the screens for us to look at it. Duplicate. Okay. Okay. So let's the app builder, the developer studio, to look at that call. But first of all, if you want to see the order, we must have an order. Is it not working? Duplicate, okay. Keep it. Okay. Okay, that should be better now. Sorry for this. It's not easy to do it together. Okay, let's make an order for this situation, to create one and to download it. And here is the web version of the order sender application. You can also have it on a mobile device, a tablet. And yeah, if I make a new order, obviously I have to log in. I say, okay, add a new order. The supplier is obviously our big friend Mario. Customer, well, I'll and the location, yeah, we have to get into my Garage office. Okay, let's look at the catalog. It's a very short catalog. This is all done by this other company. So the nice thing is that even if you don't have the possibility of creating this application, you just fill it with data and you can integrate it with your backend application. So pizza come in sizes by this company. So how many baby pizzas? Well, it's 2 baby pizzas and 4 normal pizzas and 8 extra large pizza. Okay, just save this and get to our order. And in our list of orders, we should see this one, and we can say, okay, I would like to send it to 48. Okay, that's our order. It's a little bit expensive, but okay, send the order. And in this situation, the order is sent both to the customer and to the supplier. So Mario knows he has to put a lot of pizza in the oven and send it to us. And yeah, at that moment, we can go and interrogate the API, which we discussed before. You have to specify the domain and the initial path of the API. This is the company code, and this is the special key. This is a trial version, so you can copy it. This is no problem for me. And in the internal procedure get orders, you use all those parameters to, again, create the path, which is the one that we saw in the documentation. And in this case, you add some parameters. For instance, that the format is JSON. We want JSON back. And if we have a date as input, then I'm going to add that as a parameter as well to my URL. So the URL is growing with the parameters that I'm sending, and if it's up to date as well. And in this case, thank you, Peter, for helping me out. There was a problem because this is HTTPS protocol, and there was a problem with the certificate that it had a star in front. I don't know if you know that you can use a star dot com, and in this case, the server name indicator was the one that helped us out, so that we can specify we are communicating with this specific host, which is the one that we're talking with, and the star is then correctly replaced, I think. So I built it and I used that library. We need that library to indicate the specific server, and we want JSON back. Yeah, and that's it again. We have the JSON as a return, and once we have that, we can load it into temp table. And let's run it. I can tell you that, as you can see, this is a situation where all the fields are strings. So date is a string, and we know that there's no type for that, but even quantity is a string, and the price is a string. So in this case, many calls to conversion routine have been used to change this into real numbers and not have all these strings inside. And as you can see, all the orders, all the order lines are there with our pizzas, the 8 extra large pizzas. Okay. And yeah, here's a small browse with the same information. What I usually do is when you get these calls where you have strings coming back, I just store the string in one field and then have a strong typed field for the numbers, for instance, and I do an assign with no error. So if there is rubbish in the text in a string field, my coding will work. But in this case, yeah, you know that quantity is a number, so I just converted it directly to a number. And I must say that I did my own functions for converting, but now they are inside the JSON objects as well. So you can get a date from a string attribute. In this case, get decimal from string. That you have a string with the decimal value in it, and you have to check where there's the separator, if there is a separator, and then assign the value. Okay, some conversion is required sometimes. Okay. We have to go to the last demo. That is this one. Google Maps. Well, no introduction required. I mean, everybody knows Google Maps. But Google Maps has also an API, and it's a very powerful API because all the searches that you do normally in Google Maps, you can do it also with an API. Okay. Google is a little bit more difficult to get your key, or because you have to have an account, and the account has to have also be billable. So if you are like doing thousands of API requests, then you will get an invoice for that. You have to create a project, you make a billing account, so they have to know a little bit more than just an API key. And then you also have to enable the static API map. You have to enable the maps static API so that you can make the calls to this API. We use this for a customer that had an upcoming migration and had address information in different sources. So in order to make it more standard and in order to also validate this information, they gave me a lot of export files with a lot of address information, and I just put that together and made all the calls to the Google API to get back a structured address, and we will see what is the result of an API call. Okay, so Google Maps. I have Geocode, which is the main call to give an address and get the specification back. This is the URL. Oh. Why not? He's insisting.
You have to duplicate the screen again, because the HTML cable.
Okay. Yeah, it's two screens, but I want to duplicate. It's getting confused. Mantieni le modifiche. Okay. So now we see the same thing. Okay. Good. So. Here we have the code. The URL is this URL, maps googleapis.com, then maps API geocode. In this case, they use a separate path for JSON or other output format. You need a key, and then you have your address that you put in input. You only have to be aware that spaces should be substituted with the %20, the plus with %2b, and the ampersand with the %2.6, and yeah, then you build it, you run the request, and you get a JSON object back. Let me run it and see what happens. So name, address, it's quite, yeah, you can have really searches like this, WITS sauce in Venaria, Torino, Italia. It says, okay, we will run this geocode call to API, to the Google Map API with this information. It's not much, but yeah, it comes back with the perfect address. This is where my office is, Via Motrasino Pietro, completely formatted. I have the latitude, the longitude. Yeah, we can look at our rooftop. There are some solar panels on the rooftop. And it's also funny, you get a place ID because Google has its own database of places. And with this place ID, you can ask other things. I have this place ID, if I can copy it. There's really a wealth of information that Google is keeping. And if you go to the, you can also call it directly from a browser. Yeah, this is the quindi Google Maps place. For instance, this one. You must have an API. Okay, sorry, I have to put my key. It's a little bit long key, so it's not something that you can easily write and copy in. Okay. So.
This was a build account, wasn't it?
Yeah. Don't spread the word. Okay, so here we have it. As you can see, this is a different return because this is. By the way, this is from the office where we are now in the Mühle. In this location, I can change it with my key. But anyway, it gives more information. It gives also the possibility of opening days. It says when is this place open, and you can see it's on day 3. It's closed, and here you have all the information. So it's really once you have a key, you can interrogate a lot of things on your Google with your Google API, and unless you are really making thousands of calls a day, you don't really have to pay a lot for it. I did thousands of validations of the address. I don't see if my dashboard is here somewhere, but I paid like 50 euro for it, for really thousands of addresses that were tested and validated. In the end, I stored what I got back, so I don't want to call it twice if I already know it. Is anybody who wants an address to be checked? give up some privacy. Consulting work, for instance. Köln, Germany. Consulting work, Köln, Germany. He's doing, and here we are. Some code page issues, but this is a very simple viewer. But as you can see, Schanzestraße 31. Genau. Okay. Good. Okay. So, everything is fine. Well, sometimes there are pitfalls. What we have discovered, what I discovered, what other people also discovered, the response type. You get something back, and you think it should be JSON, and you can check it. You can check with cast or it's type of. You can check if it's really JSON, and if it's not, you cannot cast it into a JSON object and parse it. So, in the case that you really don't know what is coming back, you have only a few options. You can use it as a byte bucket or a mem pointer, and then you can just look at what is inside. How can I debug the traffic? That's also interesting. If you set your log manager log file name to some local file, some temp file, and you set the logging level at 5, you really see every byte that is going back and forth between you and the other part of the communication, and you can see the chunks that are coming in, and it's very, very detailed. And with that debugging turned on, we found a problem actually, because my customer had a network issue that he was connected with a switch that didn't do large files for some reason. And when we called this Prestashop to get back product information, if it was a simple product with only a few characteristics, that would be no problem. But if you would have a product with different colors, they sell dyeing stuff for your hair with 100 colors. So we got a very, very big file back, and I ran it on my computer and was no problem in a Wi-Fi configuration. He was with a cable in a switch, and he didn't get the whole file back. So at a certain point, it was just JSON. It was JSON until a certain point where it was just cut off, and all the rest of the data was no longer there. And we only found that using the local link level 5, so we could see the chunks are being chunked, and not at the end of the message. Certificates, yeah, we all struggle with certificates. Lately has been a change in an expiration of some big root certificate. Yeah, you have to download them, you have to import them in your local certificate store, and the only way is to check the chain with your URL and see what certificates are used, and download, and set-util is your friend. So, and yeah, when everything else fails, or rather when you have a customer that's still on version 10, all this nice stuff came in 11, 11.5, so for those of us who are on that version, no problem, but yeah, sometimes there are still customers on 10, and in that case, you could use a little bit of a mix. You could use external HTTP client. This is a popular one, curl.exe. I think it's available on all different platforms. You specify the URL, you can also specify the post of the payload to run, and yeah, you can store what comes back. And if that's JSON, you can just load it up, because in version 10 we did have JSON parser, so we can use a bit of a combination. Okay, we got 5 minutes, 4 minutes for some questions. Or have you had experience? Who of you have used HTTP client? Oh, okay, so it's quite useful. Who of you have experienced some sort of problems somewhere?
What about performance?
I've never had performance problem. I must say it depends on the size and also of the encryption. If you have HTTPS, it's definitely slower. Yeah, since there is this Prestashop site that has a lot of information. If you ask for all the products, you download all the product detailed information, it will run for a while. So it's yeah, but I think that is normal with the payload that is going on back and forth. I don't think it really depends on the HTTP client itself. Yes?
Prestashop was a free tool that I can create an account and I can play with it.
Well, you can create your shop with it. You can create an account, and then you can upload your products and yeah, have a shop.
Can I sell them?
Sorry?
Can I sell them for that?
You want to sell something?
Well, if the Prestashop is for free,
yes.
can I sell?
Well, what you sell is mostly the customization is what, because I did not make the Prestashop implementation. This friend of mine, this customer, had someone else, a web designer, doing all the personalization of the web shop, of the Prestashop web store, and he decided how to use the filtering and what to use and the categories and all that stuff. So that's all done by an external web developer. I came in when we wanted to extract the information or update information, and there the API with the web services are quite good. But what is sold, I mean, you don't sell Prestashop because you can create an instance, download, whatever. But what you can sell is the personalization and integration. I think that is very important, that the stock quantities reflect the real situation, because that's. So yeah, you can create an account and use Prestashop as a sample. I think the order sender in that case is maybe easier, because it's also user friendly. You can, if you ask for a trial version of this order sender, then you can get trial data. You have already products in there, and you can create orders and customers. It's a powerful tool, and it's easy to set up. You don't need to set up anything. It's just there. You can, if you want, you can upload your products, also with simply drag and drop or Excel files, and you can work on that. And it's a very nice solution. It works on a mobile phone, on tablet, even on the web. So that is easier. If you want to try out some calls and see, then that's a good solution. Any other questions? Well, as I told before, chocolates are here from Italy. And I would like to thank, big thanks, well, first of all, better for the haircut. I promised I would give a shameless plug. But the real people to thank is, well, Peter Judge for his support and for the HTTP client. Mark Wouters, a friend of mine, he helped me out with giving some valuable input. Mike, Paul, and Gilles for organizing the event. And Massimo Orsi, who is the owner of this company that had double integration with both Prestashop and Order Sender, and Martin Bush, the customer rappelli, who made it possible to give all these Google Map calls for the address validation. And of course, all the speakers that took the time to prepare a presentation. Everybody here that came here to watch, and all the viewers online. And a big round of applause for Progress. Celebrating 40 years.
Sorry, I'm late. There's a question on the chat forum.
Ah, okay.
So you have to do it all again. The question was, it is on. I'll ask you the question. You can.
Yeah, I repeat it.
It is in the case of a non-200 response, is there an easy way to query for any additional error information that may be returned from the service, e.g. article not found, something like that?
Yeah, I think it depends on the server. Sometimes, yesterday evening, I tried obviously all the demos, and the Google Map gave me 200 return, but it didn't give me data back. And the problem was that I had to flag something about the billing issue. So yeah, you really have to look at the response that is coming back, and the status reason sometimes gives you some description, but I think it really depends on who is supplying you the service and how good or polite they are in stating what is the problem. Any other questions? Last minute questions? Okay. Well, anyway, the presentation will be online soon on my website, so stay tuned. And yeah, hope to see you soon on the next Progress conference.